Welcome back to the Blitz Break. We're back here for another week's episode. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen, and as always, joined by co-host Julie Schroyer, social media influencer, Fab over 50 TikToker, and mortgage and title expert. Welcome back, Julie.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Excited to have it. And again, my partner in crime here, Texas native, Mr. Buzz Howard.
Great to be here for another episode.
I feel like we're progressively witnessing the Texas drawl and accent get whittled out. So we're going to get you a Californian before this is all done.
I have to bring it back.
Excited to have you. And this week, super excited to welcome our guest, the broker owner of multiple offices throughout the Sacramento area and Chico of Keller Williams, Mr. Patrick Woods. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yay.
Exciting to have another podcasting and video enthusiast join us here. So it's a good jump off point. We want to start before we kind of get into this week's topics. Talk a little bit about just how, in fact, you got into real estate and running, KW offices. Love to hear a little of your story with the audience here, my friend.
Yeah, so how I got into real estate. So I started out, I had what used to be called .com company way back in the day, and I decided I didn't like technology. I wanted to get in something easy, so I got into real estate. So I got into commercial when I was in Southern California. When I moved up to Northern California, I got into residential. And I was with another brokerage for a period of time, came over to Keller Williams, and quickly became what they call a team leader at Keller Williams, ran offices for Wayne Hall, who owned all the offices in the Sacramento area. And when he was ready to pass the baton on, fortunately, he knocked on my door, and so I picked up a couple offices from him, and it's been a wild ride. It's never a dull moment in this industry, that's for sure. So we've got 3 offices, Elk Grove, Roseville, and Chico. We've got about 600 agents right now.
Wow.
And it's quite the blast.
When you got into the business and you mentioned getting into something easy, I remember thinking something similar when it came to mortgage. What has stuck since you got started, and what's maybe changed the most in terms of kind of your perception and kind of view of the not only the profession but like the challenges and the opportunities?
Well, I think there's a lot that like nothing ever is the same in real estate, and it's always the same at the same time. Absolutely. It's always a mindset game, and it constantly feels like you're trying to repackage the same activities, same messaging in a different format to have enthusiasm around it. The market's always changing. We've been through the Great Recession, the downturn in the housing market. The housing market has its challenges now, and it's a lot of the same conversations. I look at how the market's changed. I look at what we're doing to teach agents to win right now, and I don't know. There's a lot to put into that.
It continues to roll. I'll let Julie. You have any of those on the social, because you are our social media expert here.
I kind of want to touch on that because I agree it is the same but different. But wouldn't you say that really the bread and butter of somebody or lead generation is really working your personal sphere
100%.
At the end of the day?
100%.
And that maybe AI and social media help you just do it better, faster, quicker, smarter. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's still about your personal sphere, right?
100%. It's about your database, right? It's about having, and that's where I was kind of going with the more things change, the more things stay the same. It's, we talk about AI, we talk about different lead generation tactics, internet leads that have been big historically. And it really just boils down to how many times are you picking up the phone and calling your database and doing it in a way that you're not just picking up the phone and starting at A, getting to B, getting to C, and then stopping and then starting over again at A. The poor W's like me never get a phone call, right? And so just looking at that in a way that the agents can get excited about it and know that people get into business with them because they know, like, and trust them. And to pick up the phone and call them, they're going to be glad to hear from you. It's not, I haven't talked to them in 2 years. This is embarrassing, or I'm nervous to do it. They're probably going to be really pleased to hear from you. And so getting them over that hurdle is a big deal.
Doesn't Keller Williams have like a specific number that every agent should shoot for in their database where it tilts over, becomes a really productive database or not productive?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different metrics, and those metrics change. You have the law of averages, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
As the market gets busier, that number might be lower. As the market gets slower, that number might be higher. What we've done, because the beauty is at our company, we have our own CRM, we have our own reporting, we have our own internal transaction management. Everything's in-house, so we have all those data points that we can say if an agent has 250 contacts in their database that they have on some sort of repetitious touch program, and part of that is actually picking up the phone and calling them, not just blasting out texts and emails.
Sure.
They're probably going to make on average about six figures, about $100,000 a year.
Okay.
Right. And then if you go back to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it was 2,190 contacts in your database on a 33 or 36 touch plan. That would put you at about $1 million in GCI. So gross commissions.
So when you break that down and you get back kind of as a leader and a coach, kind of influencing independent contractors, salespeople like that, I think the industry as a whole has always kind of struggled with the balance of how you effectively coach, train, and encourage people to follow a path that leads to success, because there's so much free time to do whatever you want, which can lead some people to not doing very much and some people to be workaholics. What led you to, the leadership route, to running your own offices versus, being a mega producing, chasing individual producer? What was the kind of guiding concept?
That's a good question. It's because you take a step back at times when you step into a leadership role, right?
Absolutely.
Life could be easier if I was just doing it all myself. And I had a conversation when I was when I was approached to become a team leader at Keller Williams. I'm making great money as an agent. I'm having fun doing this. I have a lot of flexibility. I don't know that I want that. And the conversation that the person had with me at that time, he said, yeah, and you have influence over about 250 people. If you're running an office, you have 100, 150, 250 people that have influence over 250 people. So now you're in multiplication of the reach and impact that you can have. And that's kind of what sold me. And for me, I look at our brokerages and the opportunity that real estate provides, so the opportunities provided for me and my family, and I care deeply and passionately about other people having that success. And so that's what drives me to be in the leadership position, is making sure that because people get into real estate for the freedom of their time, the unlimited income opportunity, and the opportunity to create wealth, right? They see an opportunity to create wealth and an exit strategy because they have the time, they have the income, and they have the knowledge of the real estate market. And so often I see people that get into real estate and they never get the support, the training, the leadership to actually go down that path. And so that's a big mission for us, is not just teach you how to sell houses, but actually create wealth and an exit strategy out of the business. And the things like that are what drives me in the leadership role.
That's definitely what I've heard from your people when they talk about their experience, working in KWs, that highlights their experience with you. And I know for me personally, the idea of being able to help someone else succeed is there's a level of reward and fulfillment that is very different than your individual success. But when you can kind of combine the two, there's obviously a lot of upside with that. But it is also one of those professions where if you were to poll the mass audience, a lot of people just really like their autonomy and don't necessarily want that. So how would you say, like, the KW model, you and kind of blending in, bringing in that individual that really fits, wanting to learn, because helping them build wealth beyond closing transactions takes someone who's also willing to learn and be coached?
Well, I think, yes, I do believe that people get into this business and they want that autonomy. And there are people that absolutely want that. However, the people that even say they want that autonomy, they're plugging into something because they see value in it. They see an opportunity to be better than what they were, to have what they've always wanted. And so it's up to us to have conversations with our people to really find out what that is. We can't just assume what it is. We have to know what their goals, dreams, aspirations are, why they got into real estate. Because ultimately, we talk about lead generation. If I don't have a tie to where I want to go, then the lead generation is just a task and I don't want to do it, and I can say I'll do that tomorrow. But if I have the tie to this, I know if I don't do this today, I've kicked that opportunity down the road another year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's going to be the thing that causes them to take action today. We had an agent that we were talking to, and we mapped out the numbers on how many contacts he needed to make per week. And for probably a few weeks, he was making half the contacts. And so because we knew what his goals were, one of those being the opportunity to buy an investment property, we broke down the math to say that other half of the contacts that you're not making, this is the dollar amount that you would make had you made those calls. Would that help you accomplish this?
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would. Why is that important to you? Because that's setting up my legacy for my family. Is that something that you're willing to just let slide and worry about that later? No. And so having that conversation, because we knew what his goals were and the impact that would have on his family, caused him, like, literally the next day he starts banging out the phone calls.
Finding the soft spot and the motivation point.
Yeah. So
sure.
the autonomy. So obviously we're going to attract. Not everybody's going to be a fit for Keller Williams. There's going to be other companies that are a great fit for them, and there's going to be people that will say that they're not a fit for us, right? So we are looking to attract like-minded people, but I do believe that we're looking for growth-minded people that want to build something that's very big and not just sell 3 or 5 houses a year.
That's a very big difference from, the mass majority too of you take loan officers, real estate agents. There's, it's changed a lot the last 4 years, but certainly the top 5-10% have that mindset. On the sales and lead generation development. I mean, obviously that the numbers game has to work in everybody's favor in our business. How do you guys look at today for whether, it's relationships with title officers, towards, the transactions, realtors getting into new markets, new farms, and, what do you think is the greatest challenge today for all of us to find new partnerships and create new relationships that are, successful for the long haul?
What's the challenge to find those relationships?
What's the today and kind of the world? What's maybe anything that's different today, or is it just the same old, same old?
I think that we have people, and you guys may agree, may disagree. There's so many things out there today with social media, so many other companies, people vying for the eyeballs and the attention of our agents, right? And so you just look at the level of the game has raised, and you have to be that much better than everybody else right now, more so than you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, just because people have a limited amount of time, and there's always a convention, there's always a conference, there's always a training, there's always something going on. They're going to be very selective on what they're going to plug into. And so we've got to be very clear on what's going to differentiate us from our competitors. And it's the same thing for us looking for vendors to work with and them looking to work with us, right? And it's pretty apparent. You see the people that are suiting up, showing up, playing full out all day, the ones that are engaging in things and raising their game, the ones that are plugging into your resources and vice versa. That's what you ultimately want, is a partner, not just an affiliate, a vendor. You want a partner in your business. And right now, with the market being challenging, you want the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need every advantage and opportunity without question. You mentioned we were talking about videos, so yeah.
Well, I'll transfer. 6% of the real estate agents are doing 90% of the business. And I would say 6%, that 6% is highly leveraged on social media, innovation, lead gen, all of that. So from my age demographic, I think the biggest challenge is embracing change and going from email to positioning an auto response in my Instagram, right? That's a big step for somebody that only talks on the phone and only emails. So I think that's where, if they don't get uncomfortable and learn how this new way of sales works, they're going to be left behind. And I think that is our biggest challenge in our industry for sure, because agents now have access to ChatGPT, online lead you have so much already. The sales rep of today has to really raise their game to even be of value to the real estate and lending community.
And vice versa. I mean, I brought an AI person in front of a group. I put together a group of people in similar role to mine across the country. And I brought an AI guy in to present on some of the things that he's doing in his Keller Williams office and how he's supporting his agents and his brokerage. And half the room on the call was excited, like giddy. The other half you watched just get really quiet and overwhelmed. And so I was kind of in the middle, right? Things are moving pretty fast. So for us to stay on top of everything that's happening and to spend that time, it's huge. And so it's important to us to have great relationships with people that can come and who can teach me how to do this as opposed to me having to go out and do all the research for me, right? We've had many conversations like this about stuff like this.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Adding value is harder these days, right?
Yes.
Because you have so much.
Yeah,
Well, and I hate to keep going back to COVID, but COVID also changed the landscape of offices where I grew up in the mortgage business, and I knew where my clients were. They're in real estate offices. And so you would go in and you would shake hands, kiss babies, develop those kinds of relationships. And I think that COVID made everybody much more comfortable working from home. They created office spaces at their house. They like doing that. And so when we go into offices, and it's the same for mortgage companies and real estate companies, I'm even wondering at title companies, but you guys have a lot of people come to sign their paperwork, but we go into a lot of real estate firms, and what used to be 100 people that you could meet, there might be 5.
It's very different today.
Yeah.
If I look at that too, I forget who said it. It was some head of a financial firm. He said, if you want a job, work from home. If you want a career, work from the office.
Yep.
And I'll say stuff like that, and I'll get called a boomer, right? But I believe that because, and this is the conversation that we're having with other agents, is if you're not coming to the office, you're missing out on opportunities that you never knew existed.
Right.
I could come in the morning and say, hey, Buzz, how was your weekend? And you go, it was actually amazing. I did an open house, and I had 47 groups through it. And you weren't even thinking about holding an open house, and that one little conversation, you got a tip that's going to help you grow your business. But if I'm working from home, I'm not having that conversation, right? And so if we're insulating ourselves, we're missing out on these opportunities to learn and get better and surround ourselves with the great people and community, right?
Well, and just the energy.
The energy.
The energy just elevates people.
100%.
When they see someone else doing open houses, even if they didn't pick up a tip, it's like, oh, they got 65 people in there.
When I'm having a bad day, I think most people's natural tendency is I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to shut my door, and I'm going to get to work. How many people do you actually put their head down, shut their door, and get to work? Very few.
Yeah.
Right? When you're having a bad day, you should actually go to where other people are having a good day and getting stuff done because you're going to feed off that energy.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's counterintuitive, but that's one of those other blessings. I saw another report that said CB Richard Ellis did a study with a lot of top companies, and a lot of them are looking at expanding their footprints now because the back to work thing is now getting less and less, right?
For sure.
So where we thought they were going to contract more space, they're actually looking to expand more space. Which is interesting.
It makes so much sense to us all when you get into an environment and you're around a bunch of people and you start having conversations that, oh, that's a nugget, that's an idea, that's a thing. The inspiration and the little tip or the trick that comes out of it. And I think that's the part when you have a conversation with people about this, they're not always necessarily considering the reality of it's the things that you don't have planned or the little influences that you aren't aware of that is part of growth and a part of it's like having a coach, having a team around you. But knowing that there's so much of that development and new things, whether it's video, learning how to use new tools, I think the other part is having people, and you just touched on it, around you to help you figure out how to install the things that are a major challenge. And, as somebody who's tried to help create kind of mass adoption of tools for now, it feels the last 10 years, and most of the time it fails because you're asking salespeople to overhaul their day-to-day behaviors in a way that is disruptive to their stress and pressure of I need to do my sales calls, my sales activities. The challenge for us is how do you make those things so easily implemented that it doesn't disrupt their day-to-day but adds to it. And, video obviously became such a huge way to communicate on a personal level. And I think it's interesting right now when you talk to people, and obviously we've had this conversation a few times, you still hear a lot of excuses about why I won't do video. And we'll hear it from people that I don't have time for it, I don't like this. And trying to help someone get over that hurdle is a big reward for me. And I think your story is one that we touch on a lot. But what's your experience right now with agents on getting engaged in video, and what would your advice be kind of in that as well? I'd love to kind of have that conversation.
Oh gosh, this is why we've been having these conversations, is because even still, the agents are, people just in general are afraid to be on video. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't know what to say. I have to record it 500 times. And this format that you've started laying out there helps them overcome that. And that's what we saw when you set it up in our office. Right. And that's the other part that I'm thinking is the people that didn't show up that day to that office didn't have the opportunity to do something really epic like that and kind of have this little breakthrough. Video is a big stinking deal, right? And people, it's a great way for people that you don't know to get to know you. It's a great way for people that you know to further that relationship, and you get multiple eyeballs for one shot, right?
Absolutely.
And people spend a lot of time on their phones watching videos, short form videos.
That's right. Well, so what would your advice be to those agents that he's talked with? Are people that we talk to all the time? How would you give them a kick in the tail to get through that hurdle as well?
First, I would start with the why they need to do it. Like, why do I really need to do a video? So we touched on it. A video is looked at 1,200% more than a still photo. That's number one right there. When you do a video, your SEO goes through the roof much more than a still photo. So when they put in real estate in Elk Grove or wherever it is, and it's their name and they've done a video, they're going to pop up before anybody else. So that's why they need to do it. The easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is to get on a platform that you're familiar with. I think, and you'd agree with me, TikTok is the easiest way to create a video. I don't necessarily think it is the best platform for real estate. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say it's the easiest way for somebody new to create a video. And then I would go navigate to the top videos on TikTok. I would look top videos in real estate, and I would copy whatever those are in my own way. That gives them content. It gives them just a way to do it, and it puts them at ease. And that's how I would start. I would duplicate genius, which is duplicate things that are already working, that are already very viral on the platform, and go from there.
Love that. And I think when you take people that are addressing their comfort zone, right? Like being able to talk to the camera and make a video is, for some people, more comfortable than, maybe sitting in a room and having a conversation. But your average salesperson can carry a conversation through and through.
I do have a funny story on that. I was working with an older gentleman. I won't mention his name, but
it wasn't me.
Buzz.
It wasn't you. I was just looking at
it. Wasn't me.
It wasn't you. But a lot of people don't know, you only need 1,000 followers on TikTok to put your website in TikTok. A lot of people don't know that. So I said, let's talk about that. Anyway, long story short, he did his first video. It went viral, got 700,000 likes. And it was just a golf video on how to hit a ball farther. That's it. It was like 30 seconds. But it was something he loved to film because he loved golf. Had nothing to do with real estate, but it launched him in that fashion. So pick something that you like, that inspires you, whether it's fishing, Buzz, or hunting, or boating, whatever it is, and start there, because then you'll be more excited about starting.
Okay, wait, for context.
Yes.
Patrick was telling us a story about a recent video.
Oh gosh.
He just did.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And it kind of blows me away.
Yeah.
So it was just a concert.
Well, it's a big secret because my wife's in the video and she doesn't like me posting stuff about her. So please don't tell my wife.
She doesn't know?
No.
Oh my God.
She doesn't know?
So we may have just screwed up because she's going to watch this.
Yeah, we'll edit this out in post.
Edit.
Yeah. No, do you want me to share?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so
it's amazing.
So it's actually interesting because we talked about TikTok and Instagram and this in there. So I took my wife for her birthday to the Sphere to go see the Backstreet Boys. And it was awesome, and I shot a few videos, and I ended up posting one of them, and it just absolutely blew up, and right now it's sitting about 3 million views.
Wow.
And what was most interesting is because you have all the data on it, that we're at about 4 years of watch time on that video, and I picked up about 7,000 new followers on Instagram. And I think part of it is my TikTok video, same video, got 190 views, 3 million. And part of my theory on this is that content with the Backstreet Boys is so played out on TikTok, but it hadn't quite hit on Instagram. I had a friend of mine in Chicago send me a screenshot of a text from her sister in Colorado. She shared my video to her saying we should go see this. And so she sends me a text like, good grief, who thought my buddy in California would be on a video that my sister in Colorado sees? So, and you find
Vegas.
In Vegas. And here's when the other part of this is that when you do have something that gets a lot of traction, you invariably get haters.
Well,
so
sure.
you have a little fun with that.
Yes.
You know, it's
the Backstreet Boys.
It is the Backstreet Boys, so I can appreciate the hate. It was a good concert, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's amazing. 4 years of watch time.
Yeah, 4 years of watch time, something like 60, 70,000 likes, about 50, 60,000 shares. It's literally insane.
So what does that do to his SEO?
Oh, is your name on it? Is your name on it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you're going to appear
they'll
everywhere.
They'll all start unfollowing me when I start posting real estate stuff again.
But I mean, I think that's something we should talk about is it doesn't always have to be real estate.
No.
It doesn't. So they can mix it up a little bit, do something fun, maybe one real estate, two personal. They can mix it up.
Well, that's the thing that I look at it and I go, I want people to know that I do this for a living, and this living provided the opportunity to go do experiences like this. So I just turned 50. I jumped out of a plane. I want people to see that we're doing cool stuff outside of real estate, but real estate is a vehicle that's providing the opportunity to do that. And I think it's no different for anybody else because they get an idea of who you actually are outside of here's how many homes I sold or whatever.
Absolutely. And they connect with you.
Totally.
And they want to work with you. But going back to getting them as they're starting out is to put a definitive schedule. Like I'm going to do 3 videos this week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You need to be consistent on consistent days. So that's where I would start too, is to line up what can you commit to and what can you follow through with, and then stick to that for 90 days. Because after 90 days, it becomes a habit.
And just as we're talking about this, I'm thinking a lot of people are on ChatGPT and they put a lot of data into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT probably has a good avatar of who you are. So ask him what kind of content I should post and give me a schedule around that. Because it has all these other conversations that you've had. Based on what you know of me, what content do you think I should create with real estate and outside of real estate?
It's a fantastic idea.
I've never thought about that.
No, that's
you
fantastic.
just spoke to what I've been personally dealing with or enjoying the benefits of is that ChatGPT now I can ask it the most generic prompted question, and because of the ongoing questions around my Triple J Sports podcast, as we're doing this, it's like its answer has all these things that are totally incorporating the story, and I'm like, man, it's changed. That point has really changed. When I finally, I would say, grabbed a hold of its value, it's made me look sideways at individuals that I was really impressed by some of the things they wrote and said in the past. Like, was that really them, or was that them just ahead of the curve on ChatGPT?
I remember the first post I made that I had ChatGPT write the comment on, and it went just gangbusters, and people were commenting going, you couldn't have said it better, Patrick. now people are onto it a little bit. There's a lot of emojis in there and a lot of hashtags at the bottom. I think you probably are on ChatGPT on that.
That's exactly right. Just starting to do it, but it's from an efficiency perspective, the ability to consolidate all those past thoughts and get it together without having to try to pull it all together, I think is a huge advantage of getting comfortable with it. I'm someone who's very kind of like binge thinker, so I'm in this lane. It takes me a minute to find the other connections, and so to be able to have all of that just kind of get poured in really quickly helps cut down on how much time it takes to come up with a comprehensive thought.
How are we training our AI so it knows more about us to make other things in our world more efficient?
Exactly. Well, and then on the video thing, I think the other part is the idea of committing to 3, 4, 5, whatever the amount of videos on a discipline basis. That's another legitimate challenge that I think people face that don't love social media, don't love creating it. And I think the other advantage, and one of the things that we're really, solving for, is sitting down and creating content in one sitting that you can use for a month, that you can spread out and split up and change, and that, allows you to kind of just go through like a conversation we're having today. And I think that's the big encouragement that we keep pushing is sometimes it's hard to get into a routine of doing 3 a day and feel like you're going to, hurdle that. But if you can sit down once a week and create 5, 6, 7, 8 videos and then, post, that's another way to solve for, maybe building a habit. And from the talking to versus having a conversation, I would challenge any salesperson to say they can't have a conversation and then also tell me they've been successful in sales. So the odds are they can do this. It's just getting comfortable. So when you kind of look at what is the difference between making a video to become viral, to be a social media star, and making content to improve your business, I think that's the other thing that some people are still trying to figure out. And so what are your guys' thoughts on what we should be teaching, coaching, and trying to help people do in that space, so that it's to help them grow their real estate business, to connect with their clients, to grow their mortgage clientele, whatever it is, as opposed to trying to come up with some shocking content that gets 5 million views like the Backstreet Boys.
Did not have that on my bingo card. But it's interesting. I think about just a metaphor is, I remember having a conversation with somebody, and we're talking about scripting, and we've been getting a lot of questions like, what's the best script for this? And my friend, he goes, I could give you a great script for that, but I bet if you made 500 phone calls, you'd have an even better script. Right? And so the whole premise is like, just start posting videos. And if you get 3 views on your first video that you were embarrassed to post, nobody saw it anyways. But you started building a habit, right? And then you're going to get better. And I always look back at, if you look back at Gary Vee, everybody looks and goes, this guy's amazing on social media. Go back to some of his original Wine Library TV videos. Go back to anybody's first videos. They're not that good. But you just start doing it like anything else. And what you're building out here is you're probably taking it from 500 calls to 100 calls, because you're fast tracking that confidence in front of the camera. Right.
That's such, the whole Gary Vee point is, I don't know how many times a week I have that conversation with people where they'll look at a clip. Well, I don't like that I did this. And once it's posted, it's going to be at the bottom of your feed in 30 days. And either 5 people or 5,000 people look at it, but that will tell you whether it was worth it or not. But if the things that you don't like cause it to only have 5 views, guess what? You really only saw, it was only seen by 5 people, and it was probably 2 of them were your views when you posted it.
When if you don't post another one, then that video that you're embarrassed about is just going to sit there, and that's going to be the only video, and you can just continue to be embarrassed about it.
That's the piece right there. Is that when you think about social, and like to your point earlier, if you're doing it consistently, the amount of pressure on being able to go, oh, that was the best, most perfect video, you're alleviating that, because it goes, whatever it is that's today, it's another one's coming tomorrow and another one's coming tomorrow, and you're going to change that pressure. I
think that there's also a lot of pressure to do something that's going to go viral. That's what everybody talks about. I did a viral, video. So I don't think that what we need to be teaching is the idea of going viral. We need to be teaching them the importance of letting people know who you are, educating them about your business, and to a certain degree, allowing them to see you as humble and approachable and someone that they would want to work with. Not necessarily that pressure to be viral, because that's puts undue or unrealistic pressure on you.
Well, I also think too, it's not the amount of views, it's the quality of the views, right?
100%.
Well, that's true.
If I only had 5 views, but those 5 views are people that wanted to sell their house and they viewed my video, those would be
5 views and 5 closed homes would be.
I'd be okay with that versus a million views and no closed homes, right?
Yep.
So the content, you just want to hit your target demographic, regardless of how many views you get.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I use the CAT method, which is consistency, being A, C is consistency, A is authenticity.
It's easy for you to say.
And then T is to build trust. But one of the things the biggest mistake I see when people make videos is you have 1/1002. You have 2 seconds when they're scrolling to get their attention, and you need to come with the meat of your video at the very beginning. I think that's the biggest mistake. Hi, I'm Julie. Gone. I'm already past Julie. So it has to be, do you want to grow your business? Do you have a house in where? It has to be right out of the gate. That would be
They need a hook.
They got to have a hook.
I see so many people that are, I'm going to start getting consistent, and they don't have the hook in there, and they lose you right out of the gates.
Right out of the gate.
So, again, say, here's the content I'm going to post. ChatGPT, what would be a great hook for this?
Perfect.
And sometimes it's just the way you move the camera. There's little things that can be an attention grabber that cause people to stay around, but it's all out there to research and figure out.
It is. And I did a video where I purposely misspelled apple cider vinegar, and ACV, I transposed the numbers, and it went viral because everybody wondered what it was, and I just misspelled it. So I had to tell them it was out. But it was engagement. And engagement pushes videos out on all the platforms. Engagement is the sweet sauce.
I hate those videos that come on right at the front and it says, wait till the end to see. I keep scrolling because all they're doing is trying to get you to.
They're the ones that monetize the platform and want their
Yes.
4 years of view time.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
And now you've got all these charities that says, they say it right across the top. Please watch for 11 seconds or we will have to close our doors or something. And immediately it's weird.
Well, all those different approaches, I think the part that I'm most convicted about and passionate in trying to impress upon people in our industry is the authenticity piece. That's what connects you to your audience, and whoever's going to want to work with you is going to really connect with who you are as a person anyway. And so getting people to kind of drop the I need to sound like a commercial, I think it's getting a little better because people watch less and less TV and watch more and more YouTube and more of this, and
sure.
they're willing to see it versus growing up, most of us watched professional news anchors and professional deliver, and so
we had to wait till Thursday at 8:00 to watch this show.
Right now it's like, and so the idea that like somehow I have to deliver it perfectly, I think there's a lot of truth in that. I know for myself, the more podcasts that I watch, the more that I stopped worrying about all of the things that I wasn't yet proficient in, and was just being myself. And I'm trying to continue to impress that upon people who get insecure about being on camera. Like, that's who you are. That's how people see you. You can improve your speech habits. You can eliminate, filler words and different things that we do. But the only way you really can do that is to just get going and then to deliver, the content to the audience and let people that are going to respond to you be there. And I would say the difference between trying to go viral and just being authentic is if you get connected through, kind of marketing to your farm, and they are going to just validate you. What's on that page is the difference between you being someone they want to call and someone that they feel like they've been overrun by. And so I do think it's important for people to take the pressure off of comparing themselves to the 5 million view viral videos and just, I get to know you?
That will crush people's desire to get on video when they start comparing themselves to even the other agent or the other rep that's doing this and maybe has been doing it for the last 2, 3, 4, 10 years.
Yep.
And so just don't compare yourself to somebody else. Just get out there and start posting stuff, and you'll find your audience. You'll find your voice. And there's always going to be those moments where you're like, I wish I had said this. I wish I hadn't said this. But that's the part of the journey that's going to make you better for the next one.
Exactly. And the point about finding people that you admire their pages and going
For sure.
way back to when they got started is, I think, a good way to help people not compare themselves to where they are today. Like, your Fab Over 50 today doesn't look anything like, I'm sure, the first few pages.
It's so bad.
I've said this on the in the past, but when I launched my first episode of the Triple J Sports Podcast, I probably spent 18 months trying to get in front of it, trying to have everything dialed. Finally recorded it, did it with a buddy of mine that I've played basketball with 20 years ago. He's head coach at University of Illinois Chicago. I get on, I do it. all this prep, and in the end, my audio was horrific. I sounded terrible. He sounded great, but I'm like, I could have done that 18 months ago and made all the same mistakes. So why did I wait 18 months to make the same mistake that I was so afraid of? And I think that, that's what we're trying to solve for. And measuring, realtors, how much in that space do you think is, like, if you're measuring the top 5% of the performers, how many of them do you think are actually successful today that aren't involved in doing video or doing social media? Is it even possible to be successful and not participate in this in today's environment?
It's always possible, but you look at it and you go, because you'll have people that have been in the business for forever, and there's an agent that I when I first moved to Sacramento that I watched what he did and copied everything. And this guy, he would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, never worked Friday because he would go golfing, and then wouldn't work Saturday and Sunday. And he just knew his numbers, right? I have to make this many contacts per week in order to hit my goal. And so he knew he could take Fridays off, Saturdays off, Sundays off because of his contact goal, because open house is all about making contacts, right? So I think it's possible, but in the world that we live in today, if you want to play catch up to those people that have been in the business for a long time, this is a way to leapfrog in a way that nobody had the opportunity to do before. So yeah, it's possible, and if you've been doing this for a while, you throw in the video and the social media, now you can take your business even that much further, which is why we're seeing numbers where so few are doing a majority of the production, right? And I just think about the video context and then go back to our original conversation about lead gen. It's the same thing. Something up here is causing you to say, I'm scared to pick up the phone today. I'm scared to go hold an open house today. I'm scared to go door knock today. Whatever that is, it's the same fear that's causing you to say, I'm scared to post a video today. And you got to get out of that mindset, because you're always going to look at what you wanted to accomplish. If you don't take that first leap of faith and start trying things and learning from them, you may never get to where you want to be. Absolutely. Again, going back to, people get into real estate because they want this big future for themselves that they didn't have someplace else. Mm-hmm. Why waste it?
100%. Regrets are the most painful thing of not doing it, for sure. Buzzer, let's switch. Give us a little bit of the market updates, and let's chat on some of your recent updates, and let's talk about what we're all dealing with in the market front here.
Well, there's quite a few things happening this week. It's actually been a busy week. One of the first things, the Home Buyer Protection Act was actually passed by both the House and the Senate, which gets rid of trigger leads. I don't know. It's been sent to the president's desk. I haven't heard that he's actually signed it yet, but he's going to. Now, what that's going to do is get rid of all these trigger leads. Every time someone takes a loan application, everyone's got this huge fear that, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this guy's loan application, run his credit report, and then the vultures are just going to pounce. And everybody's got a better offer. I can do that song in one note. So this is passed. The biggest thing that I see is it takes 180 days to implement. So the moment he signs, 180 days. The estimate is that February 1st, 2026, then it would be illegal for those trigger leads. So that's something that everybody's been working on for years.
Trigger leads being they fill out an app and all of a sudden it goes into a database where everybody else then automatically starts lead genning off that app or that list.
Right. That's a huge lead gen process. The bureaus sell that information, not necessarily all your information, but they sell that you've looked into your credit report for a mortgage. So it's we've had some people that take a loan application, rerun their credit report, and they report to us that they got 15 calls that day.
15, 20, 30 calls.
And it just goes on for weeks. So that's one thing. So everybody's pretty happy about that. Not happy about the 180 days to implement. But that's one of the things that's going on. One of the positions on the Federal Reserve, we talked about this last week, a little bit about some of the things that's going on at the Federal Reserve. There is a lady, last name Kugler, I believe, that she's resigned. And her last day was today. And her term goes through the end of January, I believe. And earlier in the week, I've been talking a lot about this. Trump has been talking about, I'm going to put someone in there. And sure enough, he did. A guy named Stephen Myram, who is I think he's the current chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. And this is important because we all know that Powell's term will end in May of 2026. And Trump has really been talking about, I want to replace Powell, wish he would leave, all of those kind of things. And we had 4 people that everybody's going, I think it's going to be one of these 4. And then all of a sudden, this guy gets put in. So we're really thinking that the bets on Wall Street is that, this guy might be the heir apparent. So that's kind of one of the things that's going on. That just happened this morning. And so those are the 2 things that I would say are the biggest news that's going on. This has been a good week. Last week, as we were sitting here, we talked a little bit about the Bureau of Labor Statistics and this report that comes out. And I even made a comment that everybody hates that report because it's so inaccurate. And the problem with it is it's a survey, really. And so all of these companies are surveyed about, have you created new positions? Are you hiring? Have you been firing? It's labor statistics. The problem is that over the last 2-3 years, the response from the members of this survey have been so slow. So what happens is they have to put this report out. And this report, the number of respondents has gotten smaller and smaller. So here's the problem. It's always inaccurate, and they're always making, revisions of it. Trump on last Friday, after we talked about this, he went in and fired the lady that runs the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Hasn't replaced anybody yet, but so that's one of the things that's been going on all week. So that would be the 3 things that I would say at the top of the list.
Nothing that's going to kickstart a major run for us yet. I know we're all waiting on it. And I know Julie has. We have a hard stop for you today, so we're not gonna keep you too much later. But how about any news in this week on the title front or anything on social to wrap this week with you?
I was just going to add back to the consistency part. Every 90 days, people's lives change. So that's why it's so imperative that you are consistent. So in closing, I have my favorite acronym, which is CLOSE. Consistency, leverage, opportunity, systems, and you got to do it with enthusiasm. But if I could leave you with one word, it would be the first one, which is consistency, because I think the top performers in this industry are always consistent.
I had just learned CAT. Now I have to learn CLOSE.
You have to learn CLOSE as well.
You like acronyms. I think there's a reason we get along. I'm an acronym
Oh,
fiend,
good. I didn't know that.
Although I can't spell like you can, so maybe that's the problem. So as we go to wrap here this week, what I think a good kind of final conversation we can wrap with. But before we do, Patrick, thank you for being here this week.
Oh my gosh,
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic to have you, and also thrilled to have someone on the pioneer trail to help realtors and real estate professionals get going on video like you are. I know it's a big task for us to keep pushing. So
it is.
Love having you on board with that, my
Thank
friend. As kind of a final conversation piece, what do we kind of see? We're heading into school starting season. What my kids start. My daughter is literally at orientation today for St. Francis,
wow.
starting high school, and the littles go back to school later in the week next week. What's kind of your guys' take on how our business changes as school year starts? I know there's seasonality to it, but what's been your experience as we hit the start of
You
school
all
year.
are looking at me.
You have
Please,
you get
for the
we all
love of God, tell us.
Yeah, it's like, we have seasonality. We're seeing that. So we saw a massive ramp up with more listings hitting the market earlier in the year because of seasonality and because of a lot of changes. And I think people being tired of delayed gratification. Like, I've wanted to do this, and now I'm finally just going to bite the bullet and do it, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's why we saw the mortgage apps go up, is because all these sellers now also have to buy a house. So that's part of why we saw the increase over last year. And we've also noticed that there's been a decline in listings coming onto the market as we're going into the end of summer months. What's interesting, though, so that's historical data. And so every month I do market stats, which we talk about the economics and jobs report and all that kind of stuff, as well as what's happening in the real estate market, to kind of read the tea leaves of what might be happening. But what's interesting is we have the data, which is historical, the conversations in the room where people are the tip of the spear, what's happening on their open houses, on their properties that they have listed. And a lot of our top producers have said they've been on more listing appointments in the last week and a half than they have been in the last 2 months. And so it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that, with the data. Are we taking more listings and whatnot? Because, again, historically we have the seasonality that we always see that, and every year it feels like there's some sort of an anomaly, like this is the way it should be, but this is happening this year. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. I don't have a crystal ball, but there's little pieces where I go, we could have a little uptick that's outside of the norm. We'll have to wait and see.
I think we saw on that slowdown, more houses sitting on the market, not selling, not as many coming on the market. I think a lot of it was about 6 weeks ago, interest rates jumped back up. And now what we've seen since the BLS report last Friday, this week we've seen interest rates come back down to one of the levels that really challenges almost any rate that we've seen in the last year to 2 years, if we can hold that. And so I'm seeing with our loan officers, people talking about, I'm getting a lot of calls. I'm busy. I got pre-quals going. I'm taking loan applications. So I believe that we'll see this push if we can hold these interest rates. I think we'll see it, hold through the.
I agree. I think because you're starting to see that margin between the 30-year and the 10-year, right?
Right.
Narrow, which is good. And then also we haven't done anything as far as the Fed. And I know that's not a direct correlation, but it does help. And so we have a lot of things that are in our favor for rates. And then if something else, some other dominoes fall, it could actually get really interesting third, fourth quarter in a positive way.
Right.
So it'd just be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Well, we're all ready for that.
Oh, my gosh. Patrick, you and I have known each other for, decades.
A hot minute. Yeah.
I appreciate you coming and being on the show. So great to sit with you. And Julie?
Thank you, Buzz.
What was yesterday again? What was
my birthday? 57, like the ketchup.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you.
And as always, hanging out with Phil, my partner. I appreciate it. It's been a good day.
It has been a good day. Any day you survive more than a few minutes with me is an accomplishment. So with that, thank you very much, Patrick, Julie, Buzz. Appreciate you guys. That's our episode for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Justin?